Hello and welcome to AOK Games. Today we're back with what I would say is arguably a quote-unquote study-level aircraft from Azurpoly. They have presented to us a seemingly fairly accurate, to my understanding, rendition of not only the flight characteristics, but also some of the simulations in the flight systems here for the OV-10 Bronco. There's an A and a B variant for this aircraft that they've included. Now, I've purchased the Flight Simulator Marketplace version, so it does not come with the simulated weapons, which, of course, this isn't DCS, so there is no real weaponry. It's just, a visual simulation. If you do buy at a later point the off version market, I'd like to also show you too, I believe their website gives us the abilities to download a patch. You can see that in the EFB that I'll show you in a second when we go inside. But as always, I just want to show you the exterior details. Of course, this is a sub $30 aircraft, right under the $30 mark. So right off of the bat, I'm noticing you can see a little bit of the waviness in the top of the airfoil there, also known as the wing structure. And it looks nice. I do like this here. Of course, price point considered or not considered, the quality, I think, speaks for itself here. You have a little bit of the exhaust gas there on the engine nacelle pod showing. Of course, as well, a little bit about this aircraft. It has the twin tail boom. Kind of reminds me a lot of the Cessna 337 with the pusher and puller type props on it. However, this is obviously the puller type prop. So, forward mounted. And we hear all this PT6, Pratt & Whitney, PT6, PT6, TBM, this, that, and the other thing. Well, this one's actually Garrett powered. So Garrett makes the turboshaft engines here. I'm going to throw a little bit in the description about the engine itself. It is the TPE 331. There's also the military version of that. The thing with this aircraft is, however, it is a common shaft engine. So the difference being this engine has one shaft through the center of the propeller hub, if you could imagine, straight through to the back of the engine right here. And it all spins together because it's a common shaft. Now, the PT6 is different in that the propeller is not actually physically connected by shaft to the back half of the engine, meaning the compressor section and the burner section and all the rest of that, the turbine power section. So this actually is a propeller that is connected to every component in the engine, the compressor, all of that section, the hot section, it's all together. So that being said, hopefully it provides some really unique flight characteristics. I have ground taxied this, however, I have not flown it. So flight characteristics are theoretically, in terms of people who have studied this and reviewed it, that are actual OV-10 pilots, say it is quite a unique aircraft and it is simulated quite well as it were. This is, as you can see by the writing, the Navy variant. A little bit about the aircraft. It first flew in July of 1965, and it was introduced in 69, and it was retired in 1995. It has seen conflict from Vietnam all the way through to Desert Storm. As I just stated, though, it is a reconnaissance aircraft. So a little bit about this center section here. You'll see what I mean. It was known for lingering around the area, also known as loitering, taking reconnaissance, helping ground troops, what have you, through all the conflicts it was involved with. And that will be illustrated shortly here as we hop on inside. I do like the patina. Patina meaning, just for example, this landing gear. I mean, look at the fork there. It really shows that it's an aircraft from the 60s, and it's quite a unique one at that. These twin boom aircraft are absolutely not your standard cup of tea. So we'll be working with that. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm not sure if this was a 3-person variant or just a 2-person, or possibly, we'll see, because I'm not sure if some of these versions have 3, one pilot and then a co-pilot and a reconnaissance officer or anything of that nature, but you'll see what I mean in a second here. Clearly, there you go. You can see the EFB. You can also see the interior details. It is highly, highly rendered. I mean, you know, the finish scratching on the sill there, around the door pane on the inside, the outside, it's quite nice. So let's hop on inside and we'll take a look at this beast in even further detail. Okay, so welcome to the pilot in command position here on the Bronco. A couple things I want to note before we start. The TPE 331s. Now these engines actually are the 715 horsepower variant as per the A/B model, along with the different liveries that this aircraft comes with. It comes with some German, some firefighting, some Navy, some Air Force, and this plane also was operated by the United States Marine Corps. So those are all included. Whatever suits your fancy, you have a nice choice of what you can pick and choose from. Now, I mentioned reconnaissance, right? So you see the dome here in the EFB. It's opaque, but if we swap it over to glass, let me show you the difference. So in theory, either the co-pilot in the back or maybe a third person, reconnaissance officer, I don't know, I'm not familiar with the aircraft in the real world, could possibly view out there, take pictures, give ground troop movement directions, whatever the case may be. There is that variant. So being able to hang out there and look and even set up a custom camera is really neat. Comes with covers, right? So we'll go back in here, we'll do the opaque, and you can do that, right? You can cover it up. Comes with a smoke system and the covers, of course, I will show you, you know, engine exhaust covered, engine intake covered, pitot tubes on the front of the nose covered. Also pay mind to the wings right here. Approximately in this position, we have the original, and then of course we have the modern, and it just changes over to LED lighting for landing lights right off of the bat. Nothing else you have to do. So you got a couple quick states here. You've got plenty of options. There is a manual at azurpoly.com, as this is obviously release 1.0. Now you see flight time here. It's just ticking away as long as I've been here checking it out before starting. It comes with a really nice power lever adjustment and condition lever adjustment for whatever, if you have the Airbus TCA throttle quadrant like I do, or whatever you're using, Thrustmaster, keyboard, whatever, this will help you set up your controls. It comes with a nice easy touch autopilot here, altitude, vertical speed, on, off, and heading by degrees. So you get a nice map here. Of course, we are actually at Holloman Air Force Base next to Alamogordo, New Mexico, by the White Sands National Area here. Of course, very scenic. I recommend it. I've actually been out here in real life, so I highly recommend the scenery. So, again, marketplace purchase. Weapons Manager not installed. However, you can go to azurpoly.com and download the patch. Perhaps this section would come with maybe a Sim Market or Orbex Direct release as well. Just keep that in mind. You can add the external tanks. Center there. Very, very nice. I do like that. We're going to leave that on, and we're just going to do the standard weight and balance fill up. Now, supposedly, according to OV-10 pilots, this aircraft, even with twin 715 horse engines, is a little underpowered. We'll test that theory out today, as this was supposedly, again, checked out by actual pilots who fly this thing and confirmed to be pretty accurate. So that we like. Tire pressures adjustable, as well as they compress as it goes down. Now, the guidance here for your navigation, I have the PMS 50. It's the GTN 750, but also the 650 works. I do not have, as you can see, the TDS version, so I cannot utilize that, but we also have the working title Garmin 430 in there. Center stack, replaceable. I'll just leave it with the PMS 50 because that's what I'm familiar with. Of course, you can hide all of these things. You can repair the canopy because, in theory, these canopies do have the ability to blow off. So what we want to also check here in this rapid review is, you know, buttons, knobs, levers, pressables. I understand there's quite a bit. Nice air duct for the climate control system. Even looking at all these gauges, they are highly polished in terms of what I would say is photorealistic, because this was theoretically a 3D scanned cabin. So I would expect it to be that way. And you're noticing they're not super pretty, but that's obviously intentional, as this is an aircraft originating out of the 60s. So very interesting take on that. Of course, the left-hand side opens as well. at least just the crack. But what's cool about this is when you actually start this, there is a latching mechanism here, another clickable. Boom, so you can lock it in place. That way, when you start this engine up, or if the air's blowing, you can see this canopy waving up and down slightly, which is nice. This prevents that, of course, kind of like propping open the hood on your car on a windy day. The only thing I will say about this is if I go to, at least on the time of this release, if I go to the page that has the ground power unit, GPU, if I connect this, the aircraft for some reason will start right away. So we're not going to go GPU powered completely uncontrolled. Not my doing. Not sure if that'll get fixed, if it's a bug, whatever it is. However, let's go ahead and listen to the sounds. And do note, this is movable. So if you're concerned about that, it can be changed, and I will change that for you out there. So I also want to point out we're not going to be using it, but there is very nice cockpit here for the checklist, and of course the little eyeballs that'll point you in your direction towards getting things running. So I'm going to turn the comm radio on. We're going to turn the left hand and the right hand batteries on. Let's go ahead and get back to my customized center. I zoomed out a little bit here for the field of view, that way you guys can see, because one of the nice touted features about this aircraft on here and in real life is the ability to be able to see quite well. So we'll turn the emergency battery power on, and we'll go to inverter 1 as it calls for. What's nice about this is you have to really be in the normal flight area as opposed to the flight area, because on the ground you'll notice this beast has a lot of power and it will run away from you quite quickly. So let's go ahead and start that. This way you can hear the sounds. Left hand first as it calls for in the checklist, and hopefully we can get this thing running. I don't want to talk too much. I want you to hear this because these are custom sounds. And let's go for number 2. And what I'd like to do is demonstrate this little hook feature. And transient sound in the closing. We will lock the cabin here. I will get this aircraft prepped for takeoff, and we will definitely take to the skies. Generators on as such. I'll see you out on the way just before short initial takeoff. Be right back. Okay, and we are back. Couple things I want to show you and let you hear. You notice the engines are definitely in a different sound mode now. That is the propellers. They are not feathered anymore. They are actually producing thrust. Couple things we did not cover as I did not follow the checklist. However, in depth they are. Very. Let's move this down. And I just want you to know the things that I did not cover are definitely on this aircraft, even though you did not see them. So fire tests, button presses, lighting, it's all there, and it's all extremely nice and accurate. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and turn on the parking brake here, and let me just adjust to the nighttime for you so that you can see some evening lights right there. Nice little flood over, so to speak. Turn these up and give you an idea of what they look like. Of course, everything's set for the day and the night. So, that being said, they are not LED, they are not CRT, they are just steam gauges in their wholesome goodness for what they are. Fits the era, 1960s through 1995, right? So that's what we're working with here. Okay, like I said, bottom right corner puts the EFB in its place, and I have a little bit of a zoomed out approach here to the video, that way you guys can see the wonderful field of view here. Independent operating throttles, both engines appear to be functioning per normal. So we'll go ahead, we'll line up now, and we'll see how it flies. I have, again, tested this on the ground and tried the taxiing to feel the horsepower. As I said earlier, supposedly the real aircraft is underpowered, especially if you have a lot of weight on board and fuel or stores, ammunition, what have you, and you lose an engine. I hear this is quite a beast to handle. But so far here, even with 100% fuel load, you know, just that extra tank underneath, it's all we're carrying. I'm not feeling that it's underpowered by any stretch. So it is what it is. Of course, we've got our flaps set to take off. I'm going to go ahead and line up here. And then we'll put the engines into what I like to call noise mode, also known as a lot more horsepower. And then let's go run up to full throttle and try the flight model for the first time, huh? Very stable. Just going to pull a little back pressure. The zoomed out field of view also allows you to see the inputs that I'm putting in this aircraft, which are minimal to none. Very, very easy to fly. Sounds are incredible. Approaching 100 knots. Just a slight pull. Look how easy that is. Let's go ahead and pull the gear up. Very nice. Let's remove the flaps. And let's pull our throttles back just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to try and adjust our trim here for hands-off flight so that I don't have to touch anything. And have it fly natural on its own. And there we go. Welcome to the air in the Azurpoly OV-10 Bronco out here at Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, just on the verge of white sands. And I have to say, if this aircraft is very realistic in terms of what it feels like compared to the real thing, I have to say this would be an absolute pleasure to fly in real life, is it feels very silky smooth to fly here. The character of this aircraft is obviously second to none in that these steam gauges, there's no glass cabin in here, although I have seen pictures on the internet and doing brief research. I have seen some modern avionics retrofitted into these, which is cool, but I would assume if you're in a Bronco, you're probably not shooting an approach on a Cat 3 landing with 50-foot visibility out the window. So in terms of simulation, I feel like these gauges do justice. 2 engines to monitor airspeed and altimeter. It's very nice. It feels good. It feels strong. And I'm liking what I feel. Let's check the roll rates. Very nice. Let's see what we get. 120 knot climb indicated, flaps up at a reasonable power setting here. And we are climbing at 35, 3,000 foot a minute. We're losing airspeed. That's okay. This aircraft is stated to climb essentially at around 3,000 foot per minute. Of course, that depends on the weight and how much fuel and how much ammunition you have, how long you've been loitering, how light, how heavy. You know, the usual. Everything that works on planet Earth. Let's go outside again. Little bit of gap there. Gotta love that photogrammetry just snapping in like that. Right off of our left wingtip. Although with better lighting conditions now, you can definitely see the sunshine glare off of the window, the propeller animations, the breaks in the clouds leave a very nice sheen on this aircraft. The level of detail down the center of the fuselage there, you can see the ribs and the little bit of curvature increasing in them. Excellent. So since we're essentially coming up on a makeshift base to final here, let's go ahead and land back at Holloman and see how this bird does on landing. So throttle's back to idle. Engine torque is indeed low. We're not flying like a proverbial bat out of hell here, so we don't have to really worry too much about bleeding off too much airspeed. One thing I will say off of the gate, my flaps lever does not work with my Airbus squadron right out of the gate, so probably just a setup of the controls, the hotkeys, so on and so forth. Let's check that gear down animation since we did not see it go up. That's cool. You can see the extension of the struts. That's good there. Not sure if you guys caught that, but just a sad wee bit of balls there. Probably just maybe a photogrammetry thing loading in. Who knows? I do not believe if you noticed that pause, it had anything to do with the aircraft by any means. We are going to make a spiraling left-hand turn onto this same final. Quite unorthodox, but let's go ahead and get back with you as soon as that's completed. Be right back. Okay, quite a bit lower now, and I'd like to note you can also pull these condition levers here back to the normal flight. Pull the power down quite a bit, of course, on takeoff, you know, just seeing what the bird has. Again, I'm not an OV-10 pilot. This is just a check on the flight dynamics and the physics of the aircraft under full weight, at least in terms of the marketplace version, and an essential rough ride. That's what we're doing here. What you see is what you get, especially out of me. I'll never claim to be a pilot for one of these. Again, many clickable things here. Of course, we've got wiper blades. Those all turn on and swap back and forth. And just in testing the physics here, flight model, I like it. I really like it. A little bit of glare on those windows there. Very nice effect. Of course, we have our flaps down, still have our gear down, checked, and we are ready. We are maintaining 100 knots here. Sounds about good to me. And as always, I'd like to take the time to tell you that I appreciate you checking this out. Hopefully you like what you see. Azurpoly has other releases that you might also be interested in for the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. To my understanding, they're really nice. I have not purchased an Azurpoly product before, but in seeing the level of refinement here, I'm certainly not opposed. This is really nice for a sub-$30 aircraft off sale. of course, in the marketplace with none of the bells and whistles, even for the ordinances that you can download, as stated on their .com. Very nice. Very, very smooth. I mean, look at this. Just buttering it in. I am barely putting in any input, as you can see. No rudder, no stick, no nothing. Just bleeding off speed as we float down. Incredible. And a little bit of reverse thrust. And boy, this is an STOL, meaning short takeoff and landing. You throw those props in reverse and golly, do you have a gobsmack of stopping power. So you just seen that there. I don't think we could stop any faster if we hit a brick wall. So, very nice. I do like that. As you saw with the translations for the input of the yoke here as well as the rudders, it did not take much at all to bring this bird in. There's that detail again. Let me go ahead and taxi this back to the ramp and we'll finish on up the video. Okay, here we are pulling back in. We're going to get over to the left here on this hangar and then call it quits for the rapid review. I'll give you my final thoughts. I'm sure you already have plenty of your own by this point. And that'll be the conclusion. I'd like to open these cockpit windows up though so that you can get some more ambient noises, of course, before we end it. And as always, though, I'd like to thank you for joining me here at the channel. Hopefully you enjoyed the short flight today out here at White Sands, New Mexico. Let's go ahead and throw the parking brake on, and then let's go ahead and listen to the spool down of this sweet aircraft, eh? And that is one thing I do notice about the aircraft. It sort of seems to make noises as though we're starting up again. Probably something I'm doing. Even if it were a bug, it will undoubtedly get fixed. But no blame of their own. I'm sure it has something to do with me. Regardless, though, as nice as the sounds are, they're always enjoyable. Just one more time. So what do I think? It is great. For a sub $30 plane, it's great. I know I feel like I say that a lot here on the channel, but I try to bring you the aircraft that I think are worth yours and my time. So that being said, it's a keeper. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed the rapid review. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.